My name is Sara Lazar. I'm a neuroscientist at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. And my research is focused on how yoga and meditation can impact the brain and the body, and how the brain and the body interact with one another, and then how meditation influences the interaction between those two.
Excellent. And that's the science of neurobiology, isn't it?
Yes.
Can you explain what neurobiology is and that's what you're studying?
Right. So neurobiology is just the study of how the brain works and how the mind works. And some neurobiologists study at the very small level, like how one neuron talks to another neuron. Others look at how the brains are structured, or how the cells talk to one another. And what I do is I use something called magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. Sometimes you may need to get an MRI for like your knee or something like this if you go to the doctor. But the MRI is sort of like a giant camera. And just as you can get a camera that could be like take not very good Polaroid pictures, or you could get like beautiful panoramic pictures, or portraits or action shots, the MRI can take a lot of different types of pictures. And so we use the MRI specifically to look at brain activity and very fine detailed brain structure. So these are different sort of pictures than you would take if, so for instance, if you were having a lot of headaches and the doctor said, oh, we need to take an MRI of your brain. It's a very, very different type of MRI. And so what we can do is we have people lie in the scanner and we have them either meditate or do various different tasks. And then we see what part of the brain is active while they're doing those different tasks. So the really wonderful thing about MRI is that it lets us look at the human brain in a way that we couldn't before. Back in the 70s and 80s, most of the research that was done with brains, and even in the 90s, was done with animals. And that's great. We learned a lot about how the brain works. But there's a lot of things that we humans do that animals don't do. And so the MRI lets us look at those sorts of things that are uniquely human. So, we're looking at things like yoga and meditation, but there's people who look at, how to respond to different types of music, or, what is love, and the different emotions. And so it's really, the MRI has really allowed us to ask questions that were just not possible to do with animal research. So one of the really interesting things that's happening right now in neuroscience is for a long time people studied the brain, and other people were studying, say, the immune system and endocrine system and sort of all the biochemicals that flow through your body. And we knew that somehow there was regulation between the two. And what's really been interesting in the last 5-10 years is really understanding that it really is a lot of two-way connections. And there's a lot of molecules that we always thought of sort of just in the body, and we're recognizing that they actually also play roles in the brain, and that the brain can also influence the body at even a very cellular level. And so it's not of course, we've known for a long time that, of course, the brain controls movement, but also what the cells inside are doing, and at that level that the brain can influence that as well.